Hello, welcome back to another episode of Nobody's Doing It Right, the podcast for those who are uncertain. My name is Kat. I'm your host. You probably know me from TikTok, maybe Instagram, because I'm posting more on there. So go follow me on there if you don't already. I offer one-to-one calls if anyone wants to talk about this stuff in more detail or ask for my specific guidance. And I write on Substack. And if you want to read any of that stuff, you can find all the links in my description of this episode. But let's get into this topic, which is one that I think is really important and has taken me a long time to really understand for myself. Actually, that's not true. I understood it when I was younger. And I feel like sometimes we understand things better when we're younger, when we aren't so clouded by the judgments of the people around us and the expectations of adulthood and life and all that stuff. There are many things in my life that I look back at my old journal entries. This is why I recommend journaling, because you get to have access to your old mindset from years ago. I look back at my old journal entries from over a decade ago and read about the things I had known back then, the awarenesses I had, and realize wow, I already had this clarity 10 years ago when I was in my, late teens, early 20s, and I've somehow forgotten it because I think our society does not encourage us to have a lot of awarenesses, and because we live in a capitalistic system, we have to follow certain rules to survive, which is, it is what it is. But yeah, this is something that I've had to kind of relearn in a sense, and I think could be helpful for anybody else. But it's the fact that you probably lack confidence because you lack purposeful intention. And I think this is really important because people always ask, how do you become confident? How do you feel comfortable and okay and to be social and to just show up as yourself? And, some people will say delusion. You can be delusional. Of course, you can fake it until you make it, be that person before you're actually that person. And that does work to an extent, right? But I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that intention is so important, because intention is the foundation to your life, to your existence, right? Everything we do has intention behind it. And if you're not clear on what that intention is, and if that intention is not coming from an aligned place and how you actually want to experience this life, you're not going to feel confident in yourself, right? Sometimes our intention is based on somebody else's desires for us, right? Or again, societal expectations. So if it's not really truly aligned with us, of course, we're not going to feel confident in what we're doing and why we're doing it. Confidence comes with knowing your why. The why supersedes the, shame, embarrassment, guilt of everything else, right? Because life is full of guilt, embarrassment, shame. Like those things, of course, you can lessen them. You can mitigate that experience, of course, working on your own, childhood wounds, all that stuff. But, being embarrassed sometimes, doing silly things, feeling like a fool, that's just part of life. It's part of the human experience. But the why, if your why is very deeply intentional and rooted in your true, alignment, the why supersedes all that stuff. It doesn't become as important to you that you come off as cringy or embarrassing or somebody looks at you weird because you did something or someone's judging you, because your why is more important to you than the discomfort of that stuff. If your why is for the approval or acceptance of others, then you won't be confident because it's not coming from you. It's not allowing you to put on blinders to anybody else's opinions of you and do what you need to do for yourself. Now, of course, the things you do should be within your morals and your values and not hurt other people, intentionally hurt other people, right? Putting on blinders and focusing on your why is important. And if you're only doing this thing because you want the approval and validation of others, of course, you're not going to feel confident in it because it hinges on the approval and validation of other people. It's not coming from deeply within you, which, you become that main opinion for yourself, the most important opinion for yourself. As I said before, everything you do comes from an intention, right? Even the smallest of things, there's an intention behind it. There's a goal, there's a why. Waking up in the morning, there's an intention because I have to go to work, right? And that intention might not be aligned with you, of course, you have to do it, and that's what it is. You make a certain type of meal. The intention behind it is, this is what I want to eat today because I really like these flavors or whatever. There's an intention to everything. So it's really important to be mindful of the intention you put behind the things that you can control, right? Because we can't control everything. There are many things in life we have to do, and that's just part of existence. But the things that you can control, it's important you take control of that intention and you are mindful when you decide on the intention. If you leave that up to chance, you leave it up to other people's opinions or desires or whatever, it's not going to feel good for you. It's not going to feel like it's yours. And so you're never going to feel confident in how you show up and how you step out into the world. Your intention has to be clear and purposeful and in alignment with the version of yourself that you want to be. Every day, every second of every day, you get to decide who you're going to be, right? Every step you take is a decision in the direction of who you want to be in the next moment. All of that's unavoidable, right? Just because you're one person right now in this moment does not mean you're going to be that person in the next moment. You get to decide. Of course, there are some things you cannot control, but your perception of yourself, the way you decide to show up, the actions you take, the perspective on life that you have, all of that is in your control, right? So you get to decide the next version of yourself from in any given moment, right? You can change into a new version of yourself. So if it's rooted in your alignment and in the person you kind of want to be moving forward, this will make it easier to stick to this intention in the face of discouragement from others. Because there are many times and many things in life that people will try to discourage you on, right? Like there are so many things. And it might be something that you wouldn't think someone would try to discourage you on, and yet here we are, right? I remember when I started my university, I was getting accepted into universities, and I was accepted into one that in Toronto that is, I guess, considered a harder university. And I remember being discouraged by somebody in my life at the time by saying, this is, it's a really hard school. It's a really hard school. And realized like I wanted to go there because I liked the aesthetic of it. It was a very nice campus for the program that I was going into. To me, the program, the intention, the why, I went in for English literature and classical civilizations, two things that I'm very passionate about and I love. To me, that was worth the effort that would have to go into that kind of work. And I'm not saying it was easy when I got there. Of course, it was difficult. But had I let that discouragement stop me, I would have been doing my life, my education for somebody else's opinion of it, right? But the fact that I knew my intention was, I want to go study this on a campus that's pretty, that I enjoy being on every day, that was more encouraging to me than the discouragement, right? That motivated me more and allowed me to keep those blinders on in the face of that discouragement. So what does it mean to be confident, right? Because everybody says this word, everyone throws it around, to be confident, to feel confident in what you're doing. Everybody's idea of confidence is different, right? Some people feel very confident when it comes to the clothes they wear or the makeup they do, whatever, right? It's different for everybody. For me, I think the core components of confidence are self-assurance, right? Feeling self-assured, assured in yourself, reliant on your own opinion and approval, and having self-trust. Those three things are so important to feeling confident in yourself, because if you are relying on your opinion and you can trust yourself to make decisions that are right for you and trust yourself that you can handle anything that comes along with them, even though, of course, you're going to feel scared with some of the stuff that you might face, because that's normal, you're human, but doing it anyway, doing it scared and trusting that you can handle it as you do it and you can face those fears will make you feel more assured in yourself, right? You will feel like you can be there with yourself and feel okay. This doesn't mean that you can't rely on others in life. Of course, we are communal creatures. Interdependence is really important. We need each other. But when it comes to certain things in your life that are for you to decide and to work on and to do, you don't need other people for that stuff, right? Sometimes having other people there is actually detrimental to you and your ability to trust yourself and be there for yourself. And I feel like self-assurance is the big one here. I've struggled with feeling assured in myself for most of my life. I still struggle with it. But I think, again, focusing on the intention behind what you're doing makes it easier to feel assured in yourself, because that intention is so deeply rooted in you and it's hard to shake, right? If the intention is not rooted in you, it's easy to shake that intention, to make you question it, to make you feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Yeah, because it's not right for you. Truly, right? Deeply, it's not right for you. But if it's deeply tied to who you are and how you want to be, it's hard to shake it. And so you feel more assured in that decision, or any decision you make, or any step you take, or any new thing you try out, because it's rooted in this very strong core belief in yourself, or desire for yourself, right? That's really important. And all of these three things, these three components of confidence, cannot exist without purposeful intention. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing, and that why has to be connected to something that is more important to you than what other people think. So when you feel a lack of confidence, because of course we all do in life, right? We're going to have moments where you don't feel confident in the way we look, the things we do, our hobbies, our career, whatever. That's going to just be part of life, right? But if you are in a moment when you feel a real lack of confidence in yourself, in your existence, in why you're doing the things you do every single day, ask yourself, what am I doing and who am I doing it for? Get clear on those two things. What am I doing? Who am I doing it for? If what you're doing, when you ask yourself that question, if what you say is not actually, it doesn't feel good to say, it doesn't feel truly connected to you, then that's important to be mindful of. That's important. Then that means you have to switch direction. You have to change what that thing is that you're doing, if you can. Of course, there are things in life that you cannot change. Of course, right? I'm not talking about those things. I'm just talking about the things that you can change, right? The way you, whatever that is, right? It could be anything. It could be the person you're dating. It could be the clothes you wear. It could be the hobbies you do. It could be the career you're in, right? You might not actually like the field you're in and you can change it, but you feel like, no, I shouldn't because other people are going to judge me, whatever. It's different, right? For everybody. And then ask yourself, who am I doing this for, right? If this isn't actually aligned for me, this thing that I stated before, who am I doing it for then? And if it's not for you and it's for somebody else, you have to ask yourself, who are they, right? Why are they more important in my mind about my life than I am, right? What role do they actually play in my life? Like, who are they? And they might be your parent, they might be your partner, they might be your whoever. But who are they truly compared to you in your life? Because are they considering your opinion in their life, right? Is that what's going on here? Is that what the agreement is? Probably not. So it's really important to get clear on that and recognize it in yourself and recognize that you're making decisions for other people. And for what? For what, right? What's the intention? What's the why? But yeah, I think if you feel a lack of confidence, you have to get clear on your intention. Intention is deeply important. I recommend it to everybody that I talk to in my one-to-one calls. I have to always check in with myself on my intention. And knowing intention tells you what your why is and makes it easier to focus on that, right? Focus on yourself and your business and whatever you're doing. And I don't mean business in terms of career. I just mean your life is your business, right? That's what you need to focus on. It's not anybody else's business, and what they do with their lives is not your business. You have to focus on yours. And that means your intention has to be unshakable. It has to be so deeply tied to you that you don't question the things you do for it. And you are willing to put up with the discomfort and the embarrassment and whatever, the cringiness that's associated with it, because the intention is deeper. The intention is more aligned with who you are. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. I hope I was able to give you some insight or information on how to better, work on your confidence. I will be back again next week with another episode. If you could leave a comment or a review or a star, that would be great. I hope this was informative. I hope this was helpful. If you want to work with me one-to-one, you can find all that information on my website. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok if you don't. And I'll be back again next week with another one.